Yes, it is working now.
Yeah, awesome.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Prerna, you can go ahead.
Sure. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. One is while applying for McKinsey, does college matter or it doesn't matter at all? One is that. The second is what is the duration of how many interview rounds are required to clear to get a designation at McKinsey? And third is about the work culture and about the type of verticals which are there. For example, if there any other vertical, for example, finance, healthcare, or is it another team, consulting team, which deals with all type of projects? And what type of projects a McKinsey consultant or AC works on, and what is the duration of
You're
these?
asking him about a rival
So,
firm, just letting you know he's
these,
from BCG. You're asking
But
him
that's
about a
fine.
rival firm.
uh,
But anyway, go ahead, Jasmeet.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'll
okay,
so
bye
in
bye.
terms of firstly, I'll begin from the first question in terms of right. So McKinsey typically, or even for like BCG or the top three consulting firms. So I'll just use MBB right going forward. So they typically have their target schools. So so it depends if you are coming from a school or you are applying out of like off campus, right? So if you are coming from a campus, there are very selected campuses wherein they will go and hire directly from there. So a process for a on-campus hire versus the off-campus hire will be very different.
True.
So for on-campus hire, they typically for I'll just let you know some schools which I know they will probably go to for hiring. Maybe they have changed few of them, but I mean every year it changes depending on how much is the headcount, how much is the requirement, how much are the projects pipeline looking like, and basis that they will take a call. Maybe they
Hmm.
will reduce some colleges altogether, or maybe they will reduce the number of hires they are making from each of the colleges, right? So some of the good colleges that I know where they typically end up going every year, even in like a downturn type of a year, wherein they need like minimum hires, and even then they'll end up going to those colleges because they want to maintain that sort of a relationship with that college as well. Is I would say ISB, of course. Then there will be IMABC. They can also run parallel processes for a lot of IMs, right? So I have heard a lot in the past that they ran a parallel process for IMLIK, wherein they will just have the applications for all the three colleges, then they will make a short list from three colleges rather than just making it from one college. Of course, XLRI, FMS, all the tier one, maybe some tier two colleges as well, but not below tier two for sure, right? And even in tier two, I'm not talking about like new IMs or anything. When I say tier two, it's probably something which is like IMLK, maybe ISB also I can put in there if I am putting just ABC in top one, right? So it depends. You can like everyone can have their own classification, but it's typically the top 5, 10 colleges wherein they'll end up going every time. That is for on campus. For off campus, again, then they will really see what is your work ex. Why do you fit into that particular role? Why are you moving to a BCG or a BN or McKinsey, right? What you have done in your previous work, then they will maybe try to align you to that sort of a project, that sort of a vertical, which was your next question, right? But for that, what I have seen with the kind of people that I've worked with, they typically do like a lot of your experience will get cut. So, for example, if you are coming in with maybe like a 7 or 8 year of work ex, and then you will join at the equivalent position of someone who is from maybe an IME or B and has like 3 or 4, 5 years of work ex. So you will end up losing about 2 to 3 years of your work ex unless you are like exceptionally well in the interviews. You can convince that you can work. You are the right fit for the role, or maybe if they are looking at people specifically for that kind of a role and you have that kind of a work ex. Otherwise, more often than not, I have worked with people who were very senior in their previous roles, but because when they joined at maybe like a C2 level or a PL1, PL2 level, right? Which is like a 4, 5 year, 6 year type of a range after MBA. It's that kind of a level where you get at after 5 years of like I'm A, B, C, ISB, right? So if you have even if you have like 9, 10 years, they will cut you to like a 4, 5 years because they'll not directly hire you at partner or that kind of a level. So that is in terms of your on campus, off campus thing. Again, for an on campus number of interview rounds, again very subjective depending on how many hires they want to make. If they have like a long short list, right, and they just have like 10, 10, 15 roles to fill from one college, they will of course keep on refining the shortlist basis the number of interview rounds that they're conducting. In my time, I will share with you my experience. For BCG, I had 3 interview rounds. First interview typically will be taken by someone who is a project lead or maybe like a freshly graduated principal. Like, so I'll tell you the hierarchy at BCG first. So it's when you do an MBA, you directly join BCG, you will join as a senior associate 1 or 2, depending on how you perform in the interview and your prior work ex. Some people directly join as consultant 1 as well, very rarely, but they are those people who have like a lot of experience again, right? They'll directly join as consultant 1. Then after 1 year, you will get to consultant 2. If you are performing well, you will get promoted from consultant 2 to PL1. And it's not, of course, it is not only a function of your performance, it is also a function of the need of the firm, right? So they will directly downscale the number of people they are promoting if they don't feel the need to promote a lot of people in that year. So maybe you will get another 3 months, 6 months on that level. So it is not a fixed promotion. It is, of course, it is also not a up and out policy, which is generally said that you will get fired and all, but you will start getting hints, right? If you're not performing well, it will start showing up in your reviews, it will start showing up in your staffing requirements and all, right? So, but it's not that 1 year is there and you didn't perform well, they'll fire you. It's not like that. They'll give you time, they will understand what went wrong, they will put you, they'll give you, you have your career advancement mentors and everyone at the firm itself who will monitor your progress and all. So 2 years at SA1, SA2, then 2 years at consultant. Then typically it is 2 years at PL, but it's very like not everyone gets promoted again from PL to principal. Then 2 years at principal. After that, you will get promoted to partner. And above that, it's really a function of how good you are at getting business and maintaining client relationships and all that. Even at PL level, it starts getting there. But as SA1, SA2, and C1, C2, which is like the majority of the sort of junior level, you will be judged at your work, right? And you will not, and your work, of course, is a function of again your work and your client skills. But primarily, you will be handling clients, but you will be at a sort of a junior level. There will be a PL who will be sort of a layer above you, who will be managing the client relationships and all that. Of course, you will have your own modules and everything, and you will have to maintain your own relationships. But it's still, you can still falter a little bit here and there from PLC to PL level. You are the, clients will directly reach out to you, and the seniors, partners, principals, they will directly reach out to you. When you are SA1, C1, SA2, C1, C2, there is still like a PL layer wherein the senior will reach out, and then you kind of have a shield. So that's about the structure. So if for off campus, your rounds, I have heard from a lot of people that at least there are 3 to 4 rounds. But again, there can be more rounds if they are not confident in your abilities in the interview. If they feel, we need to test more you on some specific skills. So they will ask, maybe schedule another round, another case round, or another, catch up with some senior from the team, wherein you will to whom you will might be directly reporting to some specific vertical lead, whose team will directly join, right? So if you are coming with a lot of experience from finance background, and after 3, 4 years, 3, 4 rounds, they're not confident in your capabilities, or they don't want to roll out the offer directly. They might schedule another 1 or 2 rounds with a lot of people from that specific vertical. So again, as I said, on campus it is relatively easier to get in. Off campus, it is not relatively easier, of course, because firstly the competition is intense. Once you are in the college, you have kind of cleared one level of competition. So now you're competing within that college, right? But off campus, it is still like an open pool. You are still competing from a lot of people who are coming from on campus. So because the slots are limited, if they get a lot of good people on campus, they might not be interested in hiring off campus, especially in times like these wherein there are large layoffs are happening, right? So I'm not even sure how much off-campus hiring is even happening, because I do remember that there was a large layoff that happened in June 2024 in Bain. And even after that, I've also heard there is a lot of downsizing that has happened across McKinsey as well. BCG, I've not heard that much. I've heard there's a lot of demand, the projects because of government projects that they keep on doing. Of course, there's a slowdown in hiring, but I have not specifically heard of a large scale downsizing that has happened at BCG, right? And in terms of verticals, so it again depends on what level you are joining. At the initial SA1, SA2, C1, C2 levels, most of your work will be sector agnostic. In the now, okay, one more thing that I can tell you is that at BCG, it is now a marketplace model. So once you get hired, it is not the responsibility of the firm to get you staffed on a project, right? So what I mean by that is, barring the first one or two projects in which you will typically, that the firm of course will arrange, but after that your rate you will get, sort of the people speak at the firms, right? So it is the responsibility of a PL to make his team for the next new project that is coming up. So your prior feedbacks, depending on your prior work, what the prior PLs, prior partners had to say about you, you will uh, so there is a kind of a repository. So as to say, it is of course all unofficial, wherein they will keep a track of how good you are. So similarly, there's a repository for the juniors, which they maintain for the seniors. So because not everyone wants to work with everyone, right? Similarly, not every senior wants to work with every junior. So it works both ways. So how you have performed, that is kind of getting tagged in the system, and that is the marketplace. So you might continue reaching out to people, but they will not staff you if they don't think you are good enough for that project. So the kind of vertical that you are and kind of projects you want to go to, that comes at a very later stage. First few years, you will want to work across as many projects as you can get. And then you will want to, kind of make your own specialization. At a SA1, SA2, C1, C2 level, I don't think you are even expected to make a specialization. Maybe at the last 6 months of C2, when they have given you an informal signal that you are doing really good, you will be getting promoted to PL1. Then maybe you can kind of get the hang of, okay, now I want to go into this kind of roles, this kind of projects. So yeah, I'll now focus on getting more projects from this vertical, right? But all of this will come once you have done really well across multiple projects. You have like a good equity in the system. A lot of people talk about you in a very positive manner, and then even the seniors start noticing you, right? Because in every project there are like, even when the team is typically like one PL and like two SA1s and one SA1, SA2s, one or two consultants. So it's a typically PL plus three structure. They have one PL and two SA1, SA2s, or one or two C1, C2s, depending on how the project requirement is. Some projects do have a lot of like a bigger teams, in which case there might be two PLs or five juniors, right? But that is very rare. Mostly it will be one PL, three or four juniors, depending on the requirement of the project. So, and that is like the people who you will be interacting on a day-to-day basis. Everyone will have their own modules on work, but you will be reporting to your PL on a day-to-day basis. When I say day-to-day basis, there will be a morning stand-up call at 9:50, 9:30, where you will tell what you are planning to do in your entire day. And depending on how picky the PL is, he might even have a evening call and ask you what all of your objectives did you achieve. Some PLs will traditionally just run like a weekly stand-up stand-in call. They'll discuss one week at the start of the call and one at the end of the call, what your weekly to-dos are, what your weekly, how you are planning to divide your time across the various work streams that you have. How much time will you spend on doing client calls? How much time will you spend on making your client relationships? How much time will you spend on doing your own analysis? How much time on making your own slides? How are you going to present it? And how are you going to run it by the PL first before running it with the seniors in the team, right? Which is typically a principal partner or even an MDP. So that is a typical structure, and these are your internal calls. And then, of course, there are SCM, which are your client steerco meetings, in which your client partners are also involved. So that is like a real deal. You can't really screw up in your SCMs. because once you do like I mean, you can do your client calls are like your sacred calls, right? In your internal calls, talking with your PL is fine. You can have like a you know thinking sessions with your PL. So he's your sort of like a whiteboard. You can work your ideas off with him. But once everything is logged in, your SCMs should go like nothing should go off in your SCMs, right? And then that is because in your SCMs there will be senior MDPs, senior partners who will be there, and they will be monitoring how you are presenting, and that is how your equity will get built in the system. So once there is sufficient equity, then you can maybe after like a 3, 4 year, 5 years down in the system, you can think of getting aligning yourself into particular verticals. I hope that answers. If anything I missed, you can ask me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the super comprehensive answer, Jasmeet. We have Shashanka who had a question.
Hi, Jasmeet. Shashanka this year. Jasmeet, I have a couple of questions. Well, most of you have already answered, but still there are 2 or 3 questions from my end. One is I wanted to understand, since I have an experience of around 8 to 9 years in market research firm, I'm from the healthcare background. I wanted to understand what percentage would you give to these MBBs? I mean, do they give 60% to on-campus and 40% to off-campus interviews hiring? For example, if there is a vacancy for 15 to 20 people, will they hire all from on-campus or would they give percentage to off-campus as well?
I will not be able to comment on the specifics, but because that is like a sort of like a every year requirement, right? So maybe some years they might not even hire off campus, right? So I don't think you can fix it like that. It really depends on what are the kind of roles they're getting, they're looking to fill, right? So if they really want to fill like a lot of junior roles, maybe they'll prioritize the on-campus hires first, right? I really don't have the exact split, and I mean, I really don't know why that is relevant. I know it is difficult for sure for if you're going it from off-campus route. But yeah, you can definitely try reaching out to people. They can help refer you if that is the path you are trying to go. And if they find your resume relevant, even if they don't have like a lot of vacancies, they might still call you in your interviews. And then from there, it depends upon your performance in the interviews.
All right. So my second question is, when a person who has gotten enough experience in a particular domain, they come for the interviews, what type of questions other than case interviews and guess estimates one would expect? And how many rounds of interview? As you said, 3 to 4 rounds are there, but if someone with the a good amount of experience, like 9 years of experience, comes, what should that person expect in an interview other than case interviews and guess estimates?
So of course, one would be your fit check, right, and your work ex check. So they will definitely grill you a lot in your work ex and why you are making the move now. Because see, even when you are as I said, even when you are coming with a 9 year of work ex, you will typically join at a PL level, right? Because that is what, and I'm guessing you are a postgraduate, right? Because that is
Yes.
like one of a big requirements. So you will most likely join in at a PL1 or maybe a PL2 level. So at that level, that is like the most, the level that requires most grind from your perspective because you at that level you are just joining in. You don't know how the firm operates. So they will definitely ask what your experience is in managing previous, team of 3, 4 people. What is your experience with managing, client side relationships? How you can perform in long hours for sure. Because at the PL level, that is like the most tricky level because that is when you don't really have any shield. As I told, at the junior level, you'll still get some sort of opportunities to, protect if there is anything is happening, your PL is there. But at the PL level, all the seniors will directly reach out to you. So at the PL level, it is at that level is the level from where there is no particular module alignment for anyone. Before that, at SA1, SA2, C1, C2 level, you have your own roles. You will only focus on doing that. Starting from the PL level, you are expected to drive the entire case. You are expected to drive the output of your consultants, of your SA1s. You are expected to drive all the client relationships. So even if someone from your team is not doing good, the senior will come to you. So they will ask you all about how good you are in managing teams, like small teams, how good you are maintaining relationship with clients, and they will test you around those. They will give you maybe situations around that. They will firstly ask you if even first, are you even up for doing that sort of a challenge? Because you are coming in after 9 years of work ex, you will be working with someone at a level who where typically people with 4 to 5 years of work ex work, right? And then you can't say like, but I'm a senior, I can't work beyond 8, 9, 10 hours, right? At the PL level, you will be working. So I'll give you example of my PLs in two cases. One of them uh, just had like his baby delivered. So his baby was maybe like 6 months old, and he was still on a travel case. He was still traveling every Monday, every Friday, and even on weekends he was working. He was shift. I know for a fact he was shifting during that time. So even on weekends, he was working for because of the requirement of the case. And at PL level, it is not just that you will be working just on your case. You might be staffed on an additional staffing, which is like an internal BCG study or an internal BCG, which is not typically a client case, some internal research report building that BCG keeps on doing. So you will be expected to do even that at the starting the PL level, because you are sort of transitioning from a junior level to a senior level. So they will ask you about all those things, and typically at a BCG PL level, you should expect to work at least 12 to 14 hours. I mean, other side at other places they can keep on saying whatever they want to say, but that is the ground reality of the situation.
Yeah, I have one case, Jita, with that I got to know this week only. One of the seniors from my company got placed in BCG Bangalore, and I was told he was an assistant manager. So he got placed as a senior consultant in BCG Bangalore, and they have put in a team, for back-end data, like where you have to retrieve the data. And I was told that for the client-facing people, they pick people only from Ahmedabad. They don't keep off-campus people on client-facing side. So is it true?
No, that is not true. It depends on which role you are getting hired for. Once you are getting hired at that role, then you are in that trajectory itself. So it is difficult to get hired into that role if you are coming off campus for sure. But once you have joined as the at the SA1, SA2 or a C1, C2 role, where I think when you say senior consultant, that typically means C2, but it
Yeah.
depends on what role he's getting. So there is a BCG backend team and there is a BCG front end team, right?
Yes.
Once
Yeah.
you get into the BCG front end consultant role, then you will not be, in my knowledge, you will not be differentiated. You will be normally treated in as a there is a common pool of resources. SA1, SA2, C1, C2, everyone gets into that role. And everyone gets into that pool. Once you get discharged, you will get into that pool. You will reach out to people to get your new staffing. And once you are staffed into a new project, then it is like the PL, and then one C1, C2, one or two SA1, SA2 in that role. Then you will not be differentiated that in that particular project you will get like a bad sort of a data role or that nothing of that sort. Once you are in that common pool, and you will be doing like a normal, you will not be differentiated that you're not coming from ABC, so we'll give you like a you know backend kind of a role. And like even for backend, mostly like the front end team has BCG backend team, so they can reach out like to the backend team if they have any intensive data requests. So
Yeah.
the front end team will typically not spend a lot of time uh, gathering data.
Yeah,
They have an internal.
that is what he does there. He
So
retrieves
then
the data.
he's not hired at the BCG front end role, right? He's hired at the
Yeah,
BCG back end role.
back
So
in.
that is
Okay.
different. That is different.
Yeah.
When I'm talking
I mean,
here,
I
I'm
was not
only talking
aware.
about the.
I was not
Yeah.
aware of there is something called front end and back end also. So I wanted to confirm if
So
that
they'll
is.
not call it front end back end, but if you go on LinkedIn, you will understand what kind of roles, what kind of. I mean, there are specific titles for them as well. So
Yeah.
I don't have the exact hierarchy for the back end, but the exact words that I use, the senior associate 1, 2, consultant 1, 2. They are the front end hierarchies: PL1, PL2, then partner 1, partner 2, then sorry, PL1, PL2, then principal 1, principal 2, then partner 1, partner 2. That is your typical hierarchy for the front end roles.
No, that's very
For
true.
back end,
Jasmeet,
yeah,
actually, what he's saying is absolutely correct because when you go to LinkedIn jobs or the careers page, you will not see that, BCG backend is hiring or BCG front end is
yeah,
hiring. What he's
Right,
saying is
right.
absolutely true. It will differentiate basis the position. Analyst roles and research associate roles are backend roles.
back end roles,
As soon
yes.
as you spot a senior associate role or anything higher than that, that's the front end role.
No, even the associate is also a front end role,
Hmm.
but that is a pre MBA role. Pre
Hmm.
MBA, if you are joining, you will join from IITs or some colleges only, like I think
Hmm.
SRCC, or there are a couple of other colleges, but
Hmm.
you will join as an associate one.
So
Hmm.
does it
But in
apply to
that
all,
case,
does it apply to all MBBs or is it only for BCG?
no, I can only speak about BCG, but I do know for Bain there is also a backend which is called BCN, Bain Capability
BCN.
Network,
McKinsey also has
and
a
even
backend.
McKinsey, I'm not sure about their backend, but for
Hmm.
BCN, even post MBA, I know a lot of graduates from my batch from ISB, they get hired into BCN. So it's
Hmm.
not that if you are at ISB, you will definitely get only in the Bain, like the Bain front end role. So they both of these companies will come differently for hiring, so you will know, right? That if you are appearing for Bain on like the Bain Consulting, or if you are appearing for the Bain Capability Network.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think BCG backend comes at ISB for hiring, and I definitely don't think McKinsey backend comes
Doesn't.
at ISB or the top colleges for hiring. Most of those roles are for front end only.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. We had Ananya who had a question. Ananya, go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi, Jasmeet. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. I also have a question about off-campus hiring, some of which you have already hired, but I'll just like narrate my specific situation. So I'm graduating from an international university. I mean, it's out of India. I'll be graduating this year, but I want to come back to India to study, sorry, to work. So that's why I wanted to know what the process of like off-campus hiring looks like and how I should apply, like maybe through the company website, and like how to increase my chances of getting an interview at let's we can just talk about BCG.
How much work do you have? And what is your profile?
I right now I am doing an internship with Deloitte. I have started it. It's also in the consulting background. And before that, I have an internship in the finance department with Airtel Payments Bank, but that's an old one. I did that in 2023 or two. So yeah, I don't have a full-time work experience yet.
Okay, so your undergrad and then your internships
Yeah.
and your MBA, right?
No, I don't
Uh,
have
No, she's
MBA
on
yet.
the cusp of graduating from her UG
no, no,
project.
I mean you're doing it right now, right? So you want to come back. You are doing an MBA, international MBA,
No,
right?
no, no, no,
No,
no.
no,
I'm
no.
I'm doing an international undergrad.
Oh, international undergrad.
Yeah,
So for that, I mean, I don't. Sorry, just give me a minute.
sure, sure.
So typically, and I can chime in. So you
Hmm.
will obviously apply for fresher roles.
Yeah,
Fresher roles at BCG are typically tagged as analyst or as research associate.
right.
As far as I've seen, you can apply through the careers page, of course. You can apply via referral route, of course. With
Right.
respect to building a CV, preparing for guesstimates and cases, it remains the same for everybody, be it on campus, off campus. Off
Right.
campus, maybe you can have a couple of more rounds. On campus, they can stop at 2 rounds and decide. Off
Mm-hmm.
campus, we'll have 4 rounds. Like when I was applying for BCG off campus back in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
I had 4 rounds. But when BCG came to campus in my B school, they took 2 rounds to decide. So,
Okay.
like Jasmeet said, when you're applying off campus, expect 1 to 2 rounds more
Mm-hmm.
on guesstimates and cases. That's the only difference. The CV making best practices, the preparation for guesstimates and cases remains the same.
Yeah, but what I'm more concerned about is how to get my foot in the door. Will they even look at my CV?
Yeah, they will. That's why for bigger firms, it's good to apply for a via referral. So three
Mm-hmm.
things, three things matter a lot. Your CV has to be very compellingly crafted, which takes a lot of iterations. You
Right.
have to apply via referral route as long as it's a very big organization like BCG.
Mm-hmm.
uh, to be evaluated thoroughly. And the third thing is you have to apply for the right role, which for us would be an analyst
Mm-hmm.
or a research associate, preferably an analyst.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if we
Okay.
take care of these three things, then the likelihood will definitely go up.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Jasmeet, you can also add to that.
I think
Okay.
one second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, it is going to be difficult, right? Especially for the front end roles, because that is only, as far as I know, is only reserved for the, SRCC or IITs. So, but as Arthak mentioned, the better way will be to go through a referral.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I mean, it really depends upon your CV beyond. It is going to be difficult. I mean, honestly, it is not like they will definitely not look at your CV, but it
Mm-hmm.
is going to be very difficult.
So just to clarify, front end roles are they something different from analyst and research associate roles?
Yeah, yeah,
Front end
exactly.
roles
So,
are senior associate, like Jasmeet was hired for a senior associate role after ISB. So
All
senior
right.
associate roles are roles where you get a chance to work directly with the case team. You are a part of the case team. And
Mm-hmm.
once you climb the ladder, you get a chance to interact with the clients on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis. For
Right.
analyst and research associate roles, the ones we talked about for bachelor's and
Mm-hmm.
entry level, that
Mm-hmm.
is that you are supporting that case team with number crunching, with data, with market landscaping. You're not in touch directly with the clients.
All right.
The last question goes to, since we're out of time, Varun, go ahead.
Okay, Sarthak. Hi, Jasmeet. Good
hi,
evening.
Varun.
Yeah. My question is similar to what Ananya asked right now. So, in my case, like I've been working with the Big Four, and my work ex is around 8 to 9 years still. So, does like if I want to transition into MBB, so will my experience in the Big Four will be considered a valuable, or will it be taken as a just an ordinary work ex?
No, so definitely, if you have similar work ex in Big Four, then of course it will be considered. But again, as I said, having 8, 9 years of consulting work experience in Big Four, my manager, I think he also came from in one of the projects. He also came from a Big Four or some organization, and he joined as a PL1 level. So if you are able to get that interview and convert that, so yeah, I mean your some years will get shaved off of your experience, but it is not that they will definitely not consider anything. You can try and you can definitely join at a PL1 level. So yeah, if you get that interview, you will have at least 3 to 4 rounds, if not more. If you are able to crack those interviews, guess estimates, case interviews, client handling skills, if they see all of that in your CV, then why not? But it definitely will not join as someone who has 9 years of experience at BCG.
Yeah,
That
I
is
totally
that is
agree.
something that is probably someone who is at a principal one or even like a
Yeah.
fast track promotion to partner one level. So definitely they'll not make you partner right away. They will
Yeah,
at
yeah. So
least at least ask you to grind 3 to 4 hours, 3 to
no,
4 years before that.
I'm totally okay with joining at C1 or C2 also, but like, will there be more chances for me if I like join at that level, like compared to
Uh,
like, yeah, because as
I
you
mean,
mentioned,
of course, see, at a C1, C2 level, the expectations from you will be a lot less, right? Because so you will be judged that way. But again, so you will have to join at a much, much junior level. I mean, that is someone uh, coming from, maybe say anyone who's coming from with maybe no work ex directly, like an undergrad and then a post grad and then joining BCG, right? So that person will become C1 in 2 years or maybe 2.5 years, and you will be there with 9 years of work ex. So it will get difficult for you, right? The kind of energy they will have, the kind of uh, I mean, it is not easy to work with someone who is maybe 7 to 8 years younger to you, right? And working at the same level with that person. So you can try that. There's no harm in doing that. But uh, in my opinion, there should be a higher chance if you are coming in as a C2, or even if you are applying as a PL1, they find you good enough for hiring you. They can also tell you, yeah, but you are good enough for a C1 or a C2, but not good enough for a PL1. So that conversation can happen at that level also. But to sum it up, to answer your question, you will have better opportunities. But in my opinion, you should have a better opportunity because the expectation from you will be a lot less. But again, it is your call if you want to join at that level.
Got it. I think we can take one more question.
Yeah, that's it.
Anybody else who wants to ask? And a couple of mentees pinged me that they wanted some gap between the two sessions. So we'll start with Sheetal's session at 6:20, if that's okay, because we are already at 5:50, so that you also get some time to refresh. Right, the link remains the same. Yeah, Bignesh, go ahead.
Hello. Hi, Jasmeet.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Hope you're good, and thanks for the time today. So I have one
Thanks.
specific doubt. So I'll be joining Boston University for my MBA program, and I have around 4 years of experience in Unilever, India as a brand manager, and Instamart business as a category management. I have taken around 4 promotions in 4 years. So this is just a quick brief. So I need your help. So I have a Excel, a sheet from my college, which shows me pre-MBA, pre-MBA admitted students like BCG Unlock, BCG Empower, and also I have BCG International newly admitted MBA receptions, whatever that is. Just leave it. So what are the like how I should prepare myself to at least get one of this or crack this? Like, what is your suggestion and point of view? And is it worth it?
So you want to join MBB after your MBA, right?
So I will just tell you. Actually, I have kept ABM, Associate Brand Manager. It's a role in US like for P&G, General Mills, and Kellogg's, all the top brands. But so my brother is in McKinsey. He's a like at a partner level. So he's a IIT IIM. So he told me to focus on consulting as my second strategy because US, due to this geopolitical issue, currently you are not able to crack certain opportunities. So secondary consulting is a good choice for me because of my background in Unilever. It's a pedigree brands and the roles I have worked. It's pretty good right now. So I wanted to understand pre MBA join like this kind of roles like BCG Unlock or BCG, which I mentioned you right now, which is called BCG Empower. Do you have any idea on this, or should I try this?
No, so I honestly don't know about BCG
I'll tell
Unlock
you.
or
I'll tell you. So these are pre-MBA, or these are networking events for MBA students.
Okay.
Consider them to be networking events, not more than that. Don't assume that if you are accepted to this networking forum, then it will help you crack a role. Consider it to be a networking forum where if you engage in organic conversations with partners and senior folks at the firm, then it leaves an impression. After
Okay.
which, if you try to reach out to them on LinkedIn, if you pass on your CV to them, that might help you. They might remember you, but nothing
Referral
more
thing.
than that.
It's a referral thing basically. It's a way
Yeah,
to refer.
it's not even a referral thing. It's
yeah, it is a
something,
networking event.
it's a
Yeah.
networking event. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप इसमें चले गए, आपने लोगों से बात कर ली तो they'll pass on your candidature to the HR. That's not there.
Okay, understood.
So that is there because a lot of people overestimate these networking events, and McKinsey also has something like this for Indian-based
Yeah.
students.
Actually, McKinsey also has, and Bain also. I already saw
Yeah,
that.
मतलब
So I wanted.
it's good to have it, but don't over expect the outcomes from it.
Yeah, got it. No worries. Cool. Thank you.
Awesome, and thank you so much, everyone. We'll be joining at 6:20 p.m. with Sheetal's session because I wanted everyone to have some gap. And thank you so much for the super insightful discussion and a sneak peek into how BCG operates. Just me, really glad to have you.
Any more questions? I'm around if you want, like any 5-10 minutes if you want. I'm still here.
Yeah. And I one question from mine to top it off. Out of your three stints with respect to investment banking, startup strategy, and consulting, which one has been the most memorable intellectually?
So see, of course, it has to be BCG, right? Because uh, I joined investment banking right out of my undergrad. So I did my undergrad in engineering. I had a good idea about finance and all, so I was able to crack that role. I and that also because I was coming from a target school, undergrad level base. So that was still, I mean, honestly, once you are working back end or front end, there is a lot of difference in the kind of work you are doing. So at back end, it is a lot more on the data collection, data synthesis, some analysis sort of work. At the front end, it is more about how you are able to handle the situation, handle your workload, maintain your relationships. So it is intellectually, if you're only speaking intellectually, I mean, again, I'll have to say, I mean, kind of work is similar, honestly, if you say about it. It is not that at in the front end we are doing anything which is supremely different to what you might be doing in a maybe a strategy role or maybe in a IB backend role, right? It depends on what kind of work you are getting in every role. So in the front end role, of course, the added pressure is that you are responsible for driving everything. Even in case of any analysis, even in case of any relationships, everyone at the end of the day will see how good of a relationship you can maintain with the client, how good you are managing, three, four things at once, how good you are able to manage. Are you stressed all the time? How much stress are you transferring to your PL? That is also a very big consideration. Intellectually, even the front end, it depends. Like in one of my cases, I was working at optimizing call center for a client for a PSU bank and how their call center functions. So intellectually, it is not you are not making something, it's not like you are driving some randomly some completely new outcomes or something, right? It is a very broken kind of a setup, and you go there and you tell them, okay, 5, 10 things that you should do which your competitors are doing, right? You analyze what are the best practices in that industry and maybe suggest something out of the box. But beyond a point, it is not like. But again, there might be some cases in which you might, drive something which is completely out of the box, which is intellectually very challenging, and maybe not everyone is able to do that. So
Got it.
in terms of opportunities, you will definitely get more opportunities for that kind of a work if you are working in a front end setup. In back end, a lot of that work which will come up to you will come from a front end team. So they will only tell you very specific parts of what they need. So maybe they will tell you they need some sort of a price forecast for, I don't know, if working in maybe if they're working in some on a cement case, right? Like I was working on a cement case. They might tell you what is the forecast for the cement input cost, like what are the various input costs, what is the forecast for that over the next 12 months. So that kind of data then you will have to research. So this kind of a particular request will go to the backend team,
Backend team.
and it will then get into the cement or commodities or some that sort of a backend team, the people who specialize in doing that sort of a research at the backend. So of course, then your intellect at that level becomes very limited because then you have a very typical request, a very specific request that okay, I need to work on this. I need to tell them what I have to do in 1 year. What is the BCG forecast and what is the industry forecast for the various input costs. So of course, your intellect definitely becomes your opportunity for that sort of a role becomes definitely less. But again, and even for the start, like I had some very good examples from my IB stint, some very bad examples from my BCG stint, some very good examples from my strategies stint as well, right? So it really depends. It really depends the kind of role you are in, kind of work you are getting in that role.
Got it. Thank you so much. I think Manav had a question. Manav, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Sarthak, and thank you, Jasmeet. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question was that one of my friend was working with BCG, and he told me that if, for an example, if you are deployed in some of the projects that is more than 3 or 4 months, so they in between of the project they shift you from one stint to another stint. So is this was the same case with you, that shifting of a project from one phase to another is very common in BCG? And upon that, if you are being shifted, then how do they measure the exact potential of that person? working for very short span of time in that specific project?
So honestly, if it is a long project, I don't think they really want to shift a lot of people around, right? Unless it is like more than like 6 months or 9 months, even 1 year. I think they are okay to keep people on the same project for 6 to 9 months, which is a good enough time for them to judge your performance, right? I
Hmm.
really don't recall. I mean, if the project is for 3 months, then that's a different thing. But if it is a longer project, because it takes a lot of time for the people to also make contacts, right? So examine, right, the situation, what is happening. You join a new project, you get stuck on a new company. You will be expected to work from the client side at least 3 to 4 days a week, if not all the 5 days of the week, right? Because you go there, you speak to clients, you speak to your specific client counterparts, you start getting that sort of a rapport, that client stakeholder management, that relationship with that particular person, right? And that kind of relationship takes time to build, right? So in my opinion, uh, 3 months, unless the project is short, they will not move you out of the project after 3 months itself. Typically they are okay to keep people for 6 to 9 months, and in that time they measure the performance. And if even and in sometimes maybe you can even ask them to, if you want to continue on the project, depending on how good your rapport is with the client, how good your rapport is with your partner, your PL, and with you can have a conversation with your there is I'm forgetting the exact term. It's a career mentee. There's a career mentee which gets a career advancement mentee or something like that, right? That person, you can have that conversation with that person, because ultimately that person is going to review your performance. So he will reach out to your partners, your PLs, right? And they will fill in your review. But eventually, after your entire 6 months, say you worked on 1 or 2 projects in that duration, maybe 4 to 5 months in one project, 1 to 2 months in the other project, that person will compile your performance review from all the you will mention all the people you want that person to take your feedback from. Then that person will compile your feedback from all those people, and then that person will make a 1 or 2 pager of your performance, and he will then present that in the committee, who will judge you in which band you fall in that levels, right? So if you are a C1, you will be judged at a C1 level across all these events, and that person will make a case for you in that committee meeting, that okay, this person worked on this project, these were his strengths, these are his upcoming opportunities areas which he should work on. These are his previous opportunity areas in which he worked at. He's really good, he's not good, he's okay, whatever, right? They will do that in that committee meeting, and basis that you will be put on the bell curve on the all Stevens in that 6 month pool, right? So they also don't want to move people around that much, because if you are at a civil level, they know that you will take time to form that kind of a relationship with their client. So 3 to 6 months, they will typically not do that.
Got it. Last question goes to Dherya.
Hi, Sarthak. Hi, Jasmeet.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask regarding the social impact consulting wing of BCG. I have an engineering background and around 2 years of experience in operations. So I wanted to pivot to impact consulting. So, what are the chances of a graduate in directly pivoting to impact consulting in BCG? Because I do not have an experience or the education in that domain.
So as I said, at the undergraduate level, you will join in depending on the role you are applying in. So at the back end, you will join in at a research or an analyst level, and the front end, you will join in at the associate level. So at the associate level, typically they will not align you to a social impact consulting only. You will be part of the open pool, and you will be staffed across projects. So you can't be like, I just want to join BCG social impact consulting, that too at such a young stage of your career.
I think he's right. You should try to look for generalist openings as of now. Do that and then maybe chart out your plan to move to a specific role. And if you're really committed to get into social impact consulting, it's better to work with a Satpa or a Samagra first.
Yeah, or you need to join a social impact
Yeah,
consulting firm, not a BCG.
Yeah, and then later on, you can join the specific BCG social impact consulting team. That's the right way to go about it, rather than joining BCG first, because you don't have any professional mileage right now in social impact consulting. It's a domain specific consulting role. Join a consulting firm which primarily deals in social impact consulting, work there for at least 2, 3 years, and then make your way to the BCG social impact consulting team. I hope that clarifies. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you so much, Jasmeet, for staying back.
Thank
Really,
you.
really kind of you. And I'll just stop the recording. Thank you so much, everyone. You can join the link for the guesstimate session at 6:20 p.m. dot. Don't be late.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.